And we are live. Hey everyone, it's Batman here on Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. Get your ass in here and listen, because I'm Batman. Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. Welcome to another Basement Radio Arcade Podcast rant. This may or may not be my last rant of 2018. And, or it may, depending on what news hits. So, we'll see what happens. Anyhow, I wanted to do a rant because some recent, but really because of a recent article that I read regarding the Xbox and the Xbox in 2000, kind of a reflection of the Xbox in 2018 and where Microsoft is, or how Microsoft, I should say, is positioning itself to maybe potentially dominate the next generation of consoles. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I don't know if you guys saw it, the bias media, because remember there's a media bias against Xbox, and they don't want the Xbox to succeed, and there's always hit pieces on the Xbox. Shocker, believe it or not. Believe it or not, there was actually an article written by Engadget. Jessica Condit actually wrote an article, and you can actually find the link of the article in the description below. And the title of that article is Xbox is poised to dominate the next console generation. Now, again, hold your breath, because I know we talk about biased media a lot, and we know how the media likes to make fun of Microsoft, especially with that tweet by Polygon, my Anaconda don't want none unless you got games, hun. Another example of the unprofessional and biased gaming media who won't give Xbox the chance to succeed, as it is their job to promote and sell Xbox consoles. So again, I'll read the title. The title is Xbox is poised to dominate the next console generation. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I saw this and I was like, excuse me? Did you just say the two Utes? Say what? I was, I shouldn't say I was shocked, but, it's funny. You guys know how I feel about the whole biased media stuff. And, that I'm not one that particularly likes to beat that drum. I don't think that there's media bias. I've talked to journalists, and I haven't come across a journalist that I've spoken to. And I've had Ryan McCaffrey on the show, but I haven't come across a journalist that's said, "Oh, I hate the Xbox. I want them to fail. We purposely try to sabotage them." Yeah, if you go back to last console generation, you'll see, because Sony had come out the gate so poorly and had really laid an egg coming off the high of the PS2, much like the Xbox One coming off the high of the 360. Sony had laid an egg, and they had a rough console generation with the PlayStation 3, where you would see IGN write. I remember one IGN article was titled "Who can save? Who can save the PlayStation 3? Superman, Batman? Who can save the PS3?" Anyhow, I digress. But so anyhow, I saw this article, and again, it caught my attention. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, let me read this, because you know anyhow, we're obviously, I think, about a year and a half away from the next generation of consoles being released. What's up, All Day? Well, actually, real quick, I just want to give everyone in the live chat a big shout out. What's up, All Day Digital, Chief Tomei, Stubbs, Dark Times? What's going on, everyone? Yeah, so I was just surprised that we're seeing these types of articles, being written. But I guess, given the context, maybe not, because it was sort of a reflection of what the Xbox did in 2018. And what's up? Don't call me Danny. And by the way, guys, let me know, the live chat. Let me know if you guys think, and I'm going to throw this question out to everyone in the live chat right now. Let me know if you guys think. And by the way, we got 15 people watching. 2 likes. Come on, let's get that like button. Let's get that like count up. But yeah, guys, let me know in the live chat if you think that Microsoft has positioned itself to dominate next console gen, at least here in the United States. I think when you look at things globally, it's a different story. I think Sony's just a dominant global brand. Nintendo's a global brand. Microsoft hasn't hit that. Uh, I think Microsoft not in the same level, I think, as Sony, Nintendo in that regard globally, but they're certainly, I think, a force to be reckoned with here in the U.S. They showed that last console generation. So, I think we can't talk about Microsoft's positioning and how they got here without going back and talking about, oh boy, 2013. And yeah, so Microsoft comes out the gate. They had a very tough time selling to the gamer base, the hardcore gamers, the media. They had a hard time explaining the console, what they're putting out, the always online feature. You got to remember Don Matrick when he's being interviewed by Jeff Keighley. He was kind of like, just like, so, you're saying that if the consumer doesn't want to be online, they're kind of done with. And I'm paraphrasing. And Don Matrick's like, no, we have a product for you. And it's the Xbox 360. And I'm gonna crack open a beer here, guys. Yeah, nice cold IPA. Start off the holidays. So, um, so yeah, it was 2013 was rough. I mean, just a lot, the PlayStation. I mean, Sony just seized the moment at E3. If you remember the whole, you can play our games without being connected to the internet. Um, if you want to share games, remember the whole sharing games thing. Um, yeah. So anyhow, it was a disaster, and then the console being slightly weaker than the PlayStation 4, but then launching $100 more, and also the games being released, had lower resolution, and so it was definitely a turn of the tables were turned in 2013, and Sony just took the ball and ran with it and really never looked back. And I think if you look at where Microsoft has come from 2013 to 2018, they've done a complete 180. And it's been, look, man, they've been like the comeback kids. I mean, look, myself and B Money and Eric and the other guys on the panel, Slow Mo, Gaming Forte, um, we've all been critical of Microsoft in the past, and rightfully so. I think if you care about a product and you want to see and you feel like maybe a product's not living up to the potential or what you feel you want as a consumer, I think it's perfectly normal and okay to voice your opinion and to demand better, and that's what we talked about. And people, a lot of people didn't like that we voiced our opinion. I remember people telling me, "Oh, I stopped subscribing to you because stop watching your podcast, Enrique, because I felt like you were too harsh on Xbox." And I'm like, "Come on, man, it's just a product, man. You don't have to agree with us. We can have a little civil discord here, but come on, man, you don't have to leave." So anyhow, so here we are in 2018, and Microsoft has really done a complete 180, and you got to give Phil Spencer credit. I mean, Phil's probably had the toughest job in the industry this console gen. Stubbs Gaming says Phil Spencer is the reason for all of it. I agree 100%. It hasn't been easy, though. It hasn't been easy. He's had to overcome some obstacles. I forget the gentleman who is no longer a Microsoft employee. He was kind of like, you know, uh, kind of stunting whatever growth or whatever things that Phil wanted to do. He wasn't allowing Phil to do that. Now Phil presumably has a seat at the table with Satya and the rest of the folks on the board there, or the those that are in charge of Microsoft. He's got a seat at the table now, representing the Xbox gaming division. So, Born Distracted says Sony remaining quiet with next gen news doesn't mean doom and gloom for them. I agree with that, Born Distracted. I think that you never sleep on Sony. This is this business means so much to them. They're not going to just, I think they learned their lessons from the PlayStation 3. They're not going to, as much as possible, they're not going to muddy the waters, if you will. But who knows? You never know. You never know. I mean, we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen. So yeah, I mean, Phil's done a great job. I mean, turning things around. Um, the messaging for Xbox has got a little bit better, I think. Although there's some questionable marketing decisions. um, they have the Inside Xbox series now, which is okay. I mean, I guess it's nice because it keeps people engaged in Xbox related news on a consistent basis. To me, EXO 2018 was a little bit of a downer, but I don't want to get into that because we already talked about that. But hey, what's up, Megatron? So Jessica Condict from Engadget wrote this article, and she even says from the get go, that it's certainly a surprise. Xbox has been kind of the bumbling underdog of the eighth console generation, playing catch up to Sony's PlayStation 4 and watching from a distance as the Nintendo Switch reignited the passion of video game fans worldwide. So she opens up with that. And it's true. I mean, no one, I don't think anyone really expected even Nintendo to come back the way they did. I mean, Nintendo just came back. I was like, "Bow, we're back." I mean, Nintendo came back with a vengeance, with fury, with focus and passion. And the Switch has been doing, I mean, Switch is the fastest selling console this console generation. And if you look at what it's done, I mean, look, I mean, you can argue whether the Switch is a, handheld or whether or not it's a console. I'm in the middle. I think it's a hybrid. It's a combination of the two, which I think is genius by Nintendo to do that. I take the subway to work, and I do see a lot of people playing Switch. I just do, and I have one. It's a great console, and look, it's been getting third party support. It's been getting good games. That was like the knock last console gen. We always know Nintendo games are going to be bangers, but the problem last gen was they weren't any between those releases, Nintendo releases, first party. There wasn't anything else. So that's not the case this go around for Nintendo. Um, but I think really, if I look back over the and the article covers this, going back over the last 5 years, you know, you could see how Microsoft's kind of climbed its way out of um, this abyss, if you will. Um, and look, I think a lot of that started when they announced the Xbox One X. I really do. I think, and it's interesting because we were talking about this on BRAP this week. Like, we're like, wow, how's the how's the how is it that the Xbox One X is selling so well? I believe it's selling better than the Xbox One S, if I'm not mistaken. And everyone, and so we're like, how is that? And I think part of it, honestly, guys, I think that a lot of us as Xbox One owners are probably like, you know what, like fuck it, we're ready to upgrade, And like me, like I'm like, yo, I want to, if I can get it, I want a premium gaming experience. Of course, I had people say, "Oh, don't you get a PC?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't want to invest in a PC at the moment. Look, it's not a knock against PC. Look, if you're a PC gamer, more money to you. That's awesome. I don't disparage anyone, for playing on console A, B, or C, or PC, whatever the case may be. I don't. That's not my thing. I don't think that's cool to do that, to shame people, to console shame people. Um, but if I think that a lot of the goodwill, if you will, and even from like a PR standpoint, I think a lot of the goodwill from Microsoft started with the announcement of the Xbox One X and then the release of the Xbox One X. Now, look, like I was even skeptical in the beginning of when they announced the Xbox One X. I'm like, well, wait a minute, like we're at a point now where we know that a lot of those games that were promised, like Scalebound, the new Fable, those games were canceled. Crackdown, we know about that. I mean, that kept getting delayed. So it was like, okay, this X is coming out. You know that the Halo 5 already been released. You know that you know, Gears had been released. And so, it's kind of a situation where, okay, well, what games are they going to show? Because first parties always the first party software always, 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 always. If you look at like if you look at like first party and how well first party always shows off the hardware of a console, and so the thought process for me coming into the Xbox One X was, okay, well, what are they going to show? Like, how are they going to justify, you know, how are they going to justify this, the purchase of this console? You know, especially with some of the canceled first party stuff. Like, the third party developers really going to take advantage of this? I mean, is it just going to be, just a generic, I don't want to say lazy port, but just a port that really doesn't, take advantage of the specs of the Xbox One X? And look, hats off to third party. I think Xbox One X really hit its stride this year. And you look at third party games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. If you look at um, Red Dead Redemption 2, I mean, it's some of the biggest games this year, this console gen. And you look at how well those games performed technically and how visually stunning they looked. I mean, look, the on a console, Red Dead Redemption 2, the best place to play it is on Xbox One X. I mean, those are the facts. That's what Digital Foundries come to, using their tests and whatnot, and not to say that you're not going to have a good experience, if you're playing it on PS4, but I'm saying from a performance standpoint, it runs best on the Xbox One X, and so Microsoft has done themselves a favor by building a console. Now they're not facing that narrative anymore of third-party games performing better on PS4. Now they can say, for the best gaming experience, play Xbox One X. We offer the best in terms of gaming experience, and that's true. They certainly do, and I think the way the X is selling is probably a testament to that, and I think it's also a testament to the fact that people will probably, on the Xbox side of things, probably looking to upgrade sooner than better. So Dark Time said if they sold better than the S, then they'd have won November MPD in dollar sales, $400 and 2 times Spider-Man bundle. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the breakdown was. I know that the X has been selling better than the S. Although I think the S probably did outsell the X for holiday. Um, Chief Tommy says, "Will history repeat itself? The next place will have more raw power than the Xbox console. Power narrative won't last long for Xbox, in my opinion." I don't know, man. I think I think just based Chief Tommy. I think based on what we know about the specs, man. I think these things are going to be. I think you're probably going to see the specs be very close. I don't think Microsoft's going to give up the. I don't think Microsoft's going to give up the power narrative again. I think that's why you're going to see two different SKUs from Xbox. I don't see them doing that again. I don't think they want to go through that PR nightmare. I think there might be some. They don't. I don't think that's something they want to go through again. I could be wrong though. I mean, who knows? We don't know. All these are rumors in terms of what we see regarding specs for all the consoles, but we'll end up seeing what happens. So, Chief Tommy says pissing contest. It's about the games for me. No, it absolutely is about the games. It certainly is. But I mean, there's something to be said for hardware, and not that hardware is the only thing that matter, but you got to remember, hardware is the thing that is going to be the focal point, and is always the focal point at the beginning of every console generation, because realistically, you don't have a lot of games coming out, releasing in the week one, week two, 6 months into a console gen. The focus is going to be performance and hardware. It always is. It's always been that way. Unless you know Sony or Microsoft, have games that have been on the development that we don't know about for umpteen years, and they just drop a slew of software titles at launch. I don't think typically that happens, but Megatron says, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 went over big with the gamers by showing how well it performed on the Xbox One X. I agree with that. The game is stunning on the X, and it performs very well. I mean, reading the Digital Foundry comparison, they were really pleased and excited by the performance of that game on the X. So, but I think a couple things, and I'm going to go to the Xbox and it kind of positioning itself to potentially dominate this console gen. And I think if you look at the comeback from Microsoft, again, like I said, it started the launch of the Xbox One X last year, 2017. All right. Um, I think that um, if you look at the other features that they added, you look at things like Game Pass, which I think is the best value in gaming right now. Um, I think that's kind of another notch, another notch in their belt. Um, and if you look at, I think the last year, and I think this is according to MPD. I think Matt Pixatella from MPD had mentioned that Xbox One sales show the highest growth of the three major hardware platforms in the U.S. this year. And the Xbox One S in particular has been performing phenomenally. So this is from Matt Piscatella, MPD, who, by the way, Matt's going to be joining us on BRAP this coming Wednesday. So the day after Christmas, Matt Piscatella is going to be joining us from MPD to discuss November MPD. And we'll probably dive into maybe some of this, kind of dive into Microsoft's performance this past year. So that's pretty big. I mean, look, we all know that all three platforms are performing well. I think they all sold 1.3 million or more in November, which is phenomenal. I think it just shows how healthy the gaming market is here in North America. But Matt says it. Xbox One has the highest growth of the three major hardware platforms in the U.S. this year. So, I mean, if you, despite, and this is what's interesting. I think this is where we're starting to see maybe some of that maybe goodwill coming back to Microsoft, and I again attribute it to the improved messaging, the features like Game Pass, Xbox One X, um, Microsoft addressing the obvious issues they've had with first party or lack thereof, and studio acquisitions. I think that for where they came from, guys, in 2013, and remember, they were at the bottom of the barrel. It was bad. To where they are now is huge. Is huge. They have literally clawed their way back, and I don't think that you sell 1.3 million consoles in November this year without um without doing some things right and earning some goodwill back from consumers. I don't think that happens. I don't think that you outgrow or see the highest growth in hardware compared to the competitors year over year without having some kind of have earned some kind of goodwill back from the gaming community, and one and without having put out a good product and good features. And I think that's what's happening. That is I think everything you're seeing is a byproduct of the NPD numbers, or what you're seeing with NPD, what you're seeing in terms of the growth that Matt Piscatella talked about. Um, those are the things that are a result of that. And so, guys, I'm trying to talk and read the live chat at the same times. Everyone in the live chat's talking about maybe 3 SKUs releasing at once. Cheeto says, to the vast majority, an affordable console for families is very important. Switch is a good example of that. Software drives hardware sales, and if the software is available on other platforms, flop. Um, yeah, I mean, software is very important. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I think that $299 is a nice price point, especially for lots of families. But um, Trying to go back and see what Chief is referring to here. Hold on a sec here, guys. Give me just a sec. All right, guys. Sorry about that. My wife came in. So I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm just trying to catch up and read everything in the live chat here. But yeah, I mean, so it's just I think the last years has been very interesting, very very positive for Microsoft overall. And I think kind of the icing on the cake is the studio acquisitions. And I think that obviously that's important, guys, because as you know, it's positioning them to bolster their first party lineup for next console gen. I mean, obviously we're not going to see the results of those acquisitions this console gen. I mean, it's clear that um, those are gonna be things that are that are shown or that they're going to bear fruit for the next Xbox. So, um, and so I kind of I got to be honest, I really agree with some of the things. And it's funny my you talk about some of the goodwill being earned by Microsoft. A lot of the things they've done have been very I think pro gamer or things for gamers that benefit them. Crossplay was one. I also we talked about Xbox Game Pass. So those are things that really benefit gamers. I mean, there's just I think there's no other way to you know uh, no other thing. I think that you can certainly praise them for that. I mean, I think that there's a great decisions that they've made, and obviously they're making those decisions because they're trying to play catch up, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either because it is um it's certainly things that are going to push the industry forward and certainly things that are going to benefit us as consumers down the road. So Chief Tommy says, I just want a Fable bundle next gen. I'll die a happy man. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think we're going to see Fable next console gen. Um, let's see. Stubbs Gaming says, to be fair, Chief, you're correct. I won't be buying a high-end Xbox. I'll buy the standard version as I have a family can't afford the one, but I go for the standard unless I start saving now. Yeah, and I think that's another thing that I like what they're doing in terms of potentially releasing multiple consoles. That there could be a price point for a variety that would appeal to different consumers that are gamers. The only concern that I have is messaging, and we talked about that on BRAP this past Sunday. We said, hey, they release multiple devices, they got to get the messaging down correct. I mean, they really do. I mean, messaging is key here. So it seems like everyone in the live chat, I think, is probably. I'll ask you guys again in the live chat. Do you guys agree? Do you think that the moves that Microsoft has made over the last 2 years, do you think that these are things that are positioning them to do well or to maybe even dominate next console gen? The other thing I want to talk about too, and I don't think gets enough praise, is the adaptive controller. Um, I mean, that's just huge. I mean, it's such a nice success story. For those of you who don't know the adaptive controller, I'm assuming most do. It's $100 gamepad. It's really built specifically for people with disabilities, people who wouldn't normally be able to um people who normally wouldn't be able to play video games, and that's just and it's a good looking controller too. I mean, that's the thing too. It's a sleek looking controller, and um, just hats off to Microsoft for making that. I mean, it's something else. It really is. So, and then we know about Project X Cloud, this service which is going to be launching in 2019, and look, I mean, I think that Microsoft is primed to do some big things next console generation. I think, again, bolstering their in-game development studios. I mean, geez, they have Obsidian in Exile. They have Ninja Theory. I mean, they really signed some pretty big developers. I mean, this is guys, this is huge. This is huge. Now, obviously, the proof is in the pudding. The studios have to deliver the goods. I mean, we can sit there and be excited about the acquisitions, and if these acquisitions don't bear good fruit, then the acquisitions are all for naught. So, but I can't imagine that the um I can't imagine that these studios aren't going to deliver. Um, Definitely, I think Ninja Theory is going to put out some great content. Obsidian has a great track record. Playground has a great track record. Um, yeah, I think those are going to be the big ones for them, and so we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what's going to happen. But I'm telling you guys, I really think, I think that in just like the Engadget article, that Microsoft and Xbox is poised to dominate next console generation if, and here's the if they release some good software. They have everything else in place right now. They have the hardware, they have services, they have Game Pass, which I think Game Pass is just huge. I wish they would market that even more than they're doing now. Um, and and tell you guys, if these studios deliver some great new AAA content, some new experiences, some new games that gamers fall in love with, Sony and Nintendo are in for some competition, more so than they are this console gen. And I'm telling you, I really think I haven't seen them. I was around when I had the OG Xbox, and coming out of that console gen, I thought that Microsoft had positioned itself well by one, building some relationships with third party developers. The Xbox was a unproven brand. They were able to get support from developers like Rockstar. If you guys maybe some of you don't remember, I mean, shit, EA wouldn't even have anything to do with Xbox, which is why you saw games like NFL Fever in the XSN Sports Network. If you guys remember that, um, EA wasn't Madden wasn't on the Xbox for a while, and so coming out of that console gen and everything Microsoft had done with the OG Xbox in terms of building strong relationships with third party developers, releasing some good quality first party stuff. There was Mech Assault, Crimson Skies, obviously Halo being the big one, and having some console exclusives like Star Wars, the old the Knights of the Old Republic. They were positioning themselves to, and with Xbox Live, which at the time was, I thought, a pretty big and important differentiator for them. I mean, I think online console gaming was still pretty much in its infancy a little bit. I know Sega had done it, but not to the level that Microsoft was taking it, and Sony really wasn't interested in in online play, and I think them not having that infrastructure set up kind of hurt them. When games like Call of Duty dropped, um, last console gen. Obviously those games benefited from Xbox having Xbox Live, and so I think that I think Microsoft's in a better position than they've ever been, and that's it. Look, that's a great thing for the industry. It's a great thing for the industry. I know some of the folks who listen to our podcast who might be Sony fans are probably like, "Oh, you're just being a bot." No, you know what? I am being a gamer, and I'm excited. I'm excited, and I hope everyone's excited because this is good for the industry. Competition is great for the industry. We benefit from it, and I really think and I'll say it again, things like Game Pass, the new hardware, studio acquisitions, kind of building relationships with third party, kind of repairing those relationships, some of those third party developers. I really think Microsoft's in a prime position. And I said this before, I said it on Crossfire. They're in a position they could take Sony's lunch money. They could. They could. I mean, as long as they don't stumble out of the gate, um, as long as their messaging is clear and concise, and the first party studios show off some really good titles, I'm telling you, things are going to be very competitive. Things are going to be interesting next console gen. I think it's going to be a very closely contested console generation next gen. I really do. I really do. So, but guys, definitely check out that Engadget article. I dropped a link below in the description. Sammy Prescott's right. Competition breeds innovation. He is right. You are right, sir. You are right. So, everyone, I'm going to wrap up this BRAP rant. I just wanted to just quickly talk about this article because I found it to be very interesting, and I wanted to share my thoughts on. Sammy Prescott says, "Oh, I love the OG Xbox. Was the reincarnation of Sega to me. It was. You had exclusives on the OG Xbox from Software, Atoji, Gun Valkyrie. I mean, I'm telling you, that console, and that was my frustration. That was the Microsoft that I missed, and that I feel wasn't around for the first couple of years this console gen. I mean, they were going out and getting content, aggressively getting content, building relationships, and they're doing it again. They're doing it again. So, but please, everyone, hey, definitely check out that Engadget article on the links. I linked it on the on the description section of the podcast. And hey, everyone, please have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy time with your family, friends. Have a good time. Get some gaming in. And yeah, this might be the last rant till 2019, unless something else comes out, something newsworthy comes out that I feel is worthy of ranting on. And so, Xbot, what is going on, man? Xbot 448 in the live chat. Xbot, we are getting ready to wrap up, my friend. Wrap up this BRAP rant. But I want to give a shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you guys for hanging out for a little bit and listening to me rant on about Microsoft and them possibly dominating next console generation. So again, everyone, have a happy holidays. Thanks for stopping by. Hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, do that. Subscribe. Hit that little bell so you get notifications when we put out new content. So, don't call me Danny. Says happy holidays. Happy holidays, Enrique. You too, man. You too. Everyone enjoy your Christmas. Happy holidays. And hey, remember, join us this Wednesday. We are going to be live with Matt Piscatella from NPD. He'll be joining us. And hey, I think Xbox, are you doing your podcast tonight? I think you are. If you guys haven't checked out his podcast, the next podcast, please check it out. Great podcast, great group of dudes talking video games. Check them out. So, on that note, I'm out, everyone. Happy holidays. Peace.